Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Trevor Jacob? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background in this case, then I'll move to my analysis. Trevor Jacob was born in West Hills, California on August 6, 1993. He competed in the 2014 Winter Olympics in Russia as a snowboarder. He appears to be attracted to a number of high sensation-seeking activities like skydiving, snowboarding, skiing, skateboarding, and paragliding. He runs a website titled Adventured, where he charges money for helping people to have various outdoor adventures like tandem jump skydiving. On his website, he claims to be a psychology major and action sports athlete. Among his various enterprises, Trevor Jacob operates a YouTube channel. At the time of making this video, it has 126,000 subscribers and has been viewed over 22 million times. He has been operating it for over 10 years. Many of his videos contain his outdoor adventures. Some contain him just telling stories. Here are a few of his video titles that I think sum up his channel pretty well and offer insight into its level of sophistication. Snowboarder jumps moving train, skateboarding on Mars, eating from a dumpster, how to break a bottle over your head, I am alive, how to find your purpose in life, I broke my tailbone off my spine, I went to prison for train hopping, and I got attacked by a cow. On December 24, 2021, Trevor Jacob released a 16-minute video titled, I Crashed My Plane. This video has been the source of some controversy. Based on the video, here is what appeared to occur. On November 24, 2021, exactly 1 month before the video was released, Trevor planned a flight in California. He was going from Lompoc Airport to Mammoth Lakes. He was flying a single-engine propeller-driven airplane, specifically a 1940 Taylorcraft model BL-65. The reason for his trip was that he wanted to paraglide, snowboard, and scatter the ashes of his dead friend, a man named Johnny Strange. Apparently, Johnny died base jumping in Switzerland after he had some type of problem with his wingsuit. He was 23 years old. Trevor has a separate video on that topic. As Trevor was standing on the runway next to the aircraft, he thanked his sponsor, a wallet manufacturer. As far as I can tell, Trevor had 4 GoPro or GoPro-style cameras with him on his journey. One mounted on the wing, pointed toward the cockpit. One mounted on the tail, pointed forward, specifically the horizontal stabilizer. One that appeared to be in front of him in the cockpit, pointed back toward him. And one that he had on a selfie stick, I guess just in case there was some type of emergency where that would be required. Trevor was wearing a skydiving rig, so he had a parachute. He started his journey and lifted off from the airport. He was flying over the Los Padres National Forest, about 50 miles north of Santa Barbara, California, when he claimed to have an engine problem. He lost all engine power. After expressing surprise and delivering a few words which were bleeped out, Trevor jumps out of the aircraft. Fortunately for the audience, Trevor has that selfie stick, which allows him to capture his journey after he exited the aircraft. He also had those cameras on the plane, so its final descent was recorded. Trevor deploys his parachute and continues to the ground as the plane crashes into the mountains. He sustains a few cuts during his landing. The plane was not as fortunate. It was destroyed, but it did not catch on fire. Trevor explained how he had no phone service, and he talked about how he always wears a parachute when he flies. He managed to make his way to the wreckage and examine it, all the while indicating how surprised he was. He then started to make his journey out of the area. He was concerned about his well-being, wondering if he would make it out alive. He claimed he was just giving up hope when he heard a cow in the distance. Fortunately for him, it was not an attack cow, as he had previously recounted in a prior video. It became dark as he was walking. He managed to find water, and about a half hour later, farmers who were driving in the area rescued him. The video concludes with him arriving at his destination 3 days later and completing his mission. Now moving to my analysis. Many people who have looked at Trevor's video believe that he staged the crash in an attempt to promote his social media presence. There are many suspicious items in his video that are inconsistent and difficult to explain outside of some type of hoax. I will go through each suspicious item that stood out to me. It's important to keep in mind that I don't know if this was a hoax or not. This is an analysis. It's just my opinion. Item number 1. Trevor had a lot of cameras on his aircraft considering this was supposed to be a routine trip. He takes off from one airport. He plans on landing in another. Nothing really that exciting. Does Trevor have this many cameras on when he's doing other mundane tasks? Like when he puts his shoes on, does he have a camera on each one to make sure he captures that special moment? Item number 2, the shot from the wing and the tail are available when the plane is crashing, but not the angle from the camera that was in the cockpit looking back at him. Even though he was worried about dying, he remembered to grab that camera. If he didn't, he wouldn't have enough to put on his shoes. Item number 3, even though he exited the plane to save his life, he remembered that selfie stick. So not only the cockpit camera, but the selfie stick. He captured great shots as he was descending to the ground and of the plane as it was flying pilotless over the mountains. To be fair, based on Trevor's performance as a pilot, one could argue that the plane was pilotless the entire time. Item number 4, Trevor is wearing a skydiving rig. This is an unnecessarily large setup. Most general aviation pilots don't fly with a parachute on, especially not one designed for skydiving. If he simply wanted to be prepared by wearing a parachute, there are smaller options. Trevor claims that he always wears a parachute when flying, but he has other videos where he is flying and not wearing a parachute. The way Trevor talks during this video, one could get the impression that he would put on a parachute before walking up a flight of stairs. So he's really concerned about heights in this video, but again in other videos, he doesn't seem as concerned. Item number 5, normally when a pilot is in a single-engine plane and they lose power, they scan for a place to land, which I'll get to in item number 6, and they also go through a checklist to restart the engine. Trevor does not do this. He simply jumps out of the plane. I think the checklist he was following only had 3 items. 1, do a poor job of dramatic acting. 2, jump out of the aircraft. And 3, get views. He doesn't even bother to use the radio to call for help, which would also be a good idea, especially considering he was going to be dropping into the mountains with no water. What's more, I find it curious that he happens to lose engine power when he's over the mountains, so an area where it would be more difficult to land a plane. Item number 6, if a pilot is unable to restart their engine, they typically fly the plane like a glider and simply land it. Even though this is certainly frightening, it's actually not that big a deal to experienced pilots. Trevor didn't even bother to set his trim to maximize his glide distance, so he didn't do anything to give himself a chance to land in a relatively normal manner. After Trevor jumped out of the plane, several good landing spots are visible from multiple angles, including what looked to be a dry creek bed or riverbed. The plane would not require a lot of distance to stop after touching down. He had a number of options. Item number 7, when Trevor exited the plane, he waited a while to deploy his parachute. One would think he'd want to deploy it as soon as possible to give himself the longest glide capability, especially considering that he was ostensibly in a life-and-death situation even after making it to the ground alive. In addition, why did he bother hiking to his aircraft? Did he want to retrieve the cameras? Survival should have been his top priority. Item number 8, why did the plane not catch fire? Single-engine propeller aircraft are much different than commercial jetliners. They don't catch on fire as often after a crash, but still, it's curious that there was no fire. It's almost as if the aircraft was suffering from fuel exhaustion, like it was loaded with an insufficient quantity of fuel when it took off. Maybe Trevor arranged the engine failure, and this is how he did it. Item number 9. This wasn't the first time Trevor had a life-threatening experience in a small aircraft. In a prior video, we see the story where he claimed his dog panicked and interfered with the controls of his plane, almost causing a collision. My guess is the dog realized that he was alone in a plane with Trevor and just wanted to escape. When looking at all the available evidence, what do I think happened? I think this incident was staged. It is the most reasonable explanation given the available evidence. As I understand it, the FAA is investigating the situation. If they determine it's a hoax, I imagine that Trevor will be in no small amount of trouble. If this was a hoax, it was not harmless. The aircraft that Trevor abandoned could have struck another aircraft. It could have struck a structure on the ground. It could have hit a person on the ground. It could have caught on fire, even if it was out of fuel. This was a very dangerous thing to do, again, if it was staged. Even if this was not a hoax, Trevor's behavior was not acceptable. He should have tried to land the plane, even without power. That was the safest route for everybody involved. So whether this was a hoax or not, Trevor made some serious mistakes and should not be flying an aircraft. Trevor Jacob strikes me as one of these high sensation seekers that has such a high demand for thrills that the truth and reality must be sacrificed in addition to safety. Just a normal level of excitement is no longer enough for him. He takes it to a dramatic extreme. Everything he does involves mortal danger. The interesting part is I don't think he needs to be dramatic to have an elevated level of excitement. He engages in so many dangerous activities on a regular basis, there is no need to try to spice them up. Maybe his adventures have become so commonplace for him, like they are normalized, that he thinks he has to keep ramping up the adventure in order to impress people. Unfortunately for Trevor, that effort is probably going to backfire faster than a cow on the attack. Those are my thoughts on the case of Trevor Jacob. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis on this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.